Welcome to Delano Public Schools volunteer training video. My name is Matt Shane and I am the Superintendent of Delano Public Schools. The purpose of this video is to give overview of the policies and important information that you will need to be a volunteer at Delano Public Schools. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone that has volunteered for Delano Public Schools, and we appreciate your time and your talent in sharing with the educational journey of our students. First and foremost, Peg Max and Shelley Hutchins will give you some procedures that are required of you to volunteer at Delano Public Schools. Then you will see Mr. Haas share information about human rights issues, some general discipline policies, a harassment policy, data privacy, and mandated reporting. These are all very important policies that you need to be aware of in order to be a volunteer here at Delano Public Schools. You're also going to receive information from Grant Eldred. Grant is our school resource officer that we share with Wright County Sheriff's Department. He will be giving you information on legal aspects of volunteering and working with children and liability issues that are required of all of our volunteers to understand and to have knowledge of. Joy Bolia, our middle school nurse, will be sharing information about procedures for dealing with bodily fluids and other types of pathogens that are required of all employees, including volunteers. And finally, Peg and Shelley will be our volunteer coordinators, will be finalizing and giving a wrap-up for you. Thank you again for volunteering at Delano Public Schools.
Hello, I'm Peg Max, a volunteer coordinator at Delano Public Schools. I've been a volunteer in all 3 schools, and I know that you'll find it both rewarding and fun. I'm here to talk to you about procedures. You've been scheduled to work at an event. Now what? The first thing you do is report to the office at the school. On the desk in the office, you'll find a clipboard that has a sign-in sheet. On the sign-in sheet, there's room for your name, the time of arrival, and your time of departure. We need to keep track of these times and who's in the building for 2 very important reasons. First, we keep track for safety purposes. In case of an emergency, we need to know who is in the building. You need to sign in and sign out so we can tally the hours that you've put in. We keep track of these hours of service, and we use this data in applying for grants that award special funds to schools. Last year, Delano volunteers logged in about 10,000 hours between the 700 volunteers that we have at our 3 schools. That actually is a number that's very low because that does not include the hours that people put in at home. Oftentimes we have volunteers that are attending meetings or doing things at home, like doing some work for teachers or counting box tops. Please make sure that if you do put in those kind of hours, you call us and let us know, because we can include those in the volunteer hours that we keep track of. Okay, now you're ready to go. Make sure that you look in the box on the desk in the office, and there will be a name tag that's in alphabetical order that will have your name on it. Behind the name tags, there will be a lanyard. Attach your name tag to the lanyard and make sure you wear this at all times when you're in the building. If you have more than 1 student, please make sure that you list all of your kids' names on their registration sheet, so we make sure we have a name tag for you at each of the schools where you have a student. When you are finished volunteering, please return your name tag to the box, sign out, and make sure that you tally up your hours so we can keep track of those. Now Shelley is going to talk to you a little bit about some housekeeping duties.
Hi, I'm Shelley Hutchins, a volunteer coordinator at Delano Public Schools. I will be going over a few things to keep in mind as you prepare to volunteer. The first being dependability. It is important to show up and be on time. If you are unable to be at an activity that you have committed to, please call or email the staff and let them know that you are unable to be there. This allows them time to rearrange their schedules if necessary. The second item I have to discuss is where to put your personal belongings while volunteering. At the elementary school, after you sign in, please take your things with you and the teacher will find a place for them that is safe. At the middle school, after signing in, you may place your items in the copy room where you will find lockers. And at the high school, you may either leave your items in the high school office or take them with you, and there will be a place there for you to leave your items. Last but not least is the use of cell phones. Please put your phones either on silent or vibrate mode as you enter the school. We prefer that you not use them while at school, but if you feel you need to, this would be the most efficient way to do this, is to not disturb the students in classes.
Hi there, my name is Joe Haas. I'm the assistant principal for the Delano Middle School, as well as the district human rights / harassment officer. First of all, I want to thank you for volunteering and giving your time to the Delano Public School District. 3 roles that you might engage upon as a volunteer might be that of a mentor, chaperone, or tutor working with students and staff. And whenever we're working with students or staff, situations may arise in which some discipline may be necessary. Here at District 879, as a volunteer role, we want to strongly encourage that you take a hands-off policy with regard to student discipline. If you see a situation that needs to be reported where discipline might ensue, please bring that situation to the attention of the adult in charge at that time, whether that's a teacher, whether that's a custodian, whether that's an administrator such as myself or our head principal, Ms. Klinkner, in the building. Any head principal will do if you're in the elementary school, high school, middle school, or even the community ed building. First and foremost, you should just look for the adult in charge and let them handle the situation and assign consequences or discipline as necessary. On the harassment part of things, the definition of harassment is an uninvited and unwelcome physical or verbal gesture by a person or group towards another person. I know it's a pretty general definition, but it's a good one to live by. If you feel like you are the victim of a harassment claim, you need to report that right away. And we encourage you to report it to an adult, most likely an administrator in the building, and they will either write up the report and give it to me as the harassment officer or point you in the direction of where you should turn that report into so an investigation can ensue. Harassment deals in some main categories such as race, sex, and religion when we're talking about harassment claims. But once again, if you feel you've been the victim of harassment, you need to make a written complaint and give that complaint to an administrator, and they will follow through and guide you through the process of investigation. Very, very important thing when working with students and staff is the subject of data privacy. Whenever we're working with students and staff, there's data privacy issues, and you should always come into the situation thinking it's a need-to-know basis. And what I mean by that is if you're out in the community or if you're around the building and somebody asks you a question about a student or a staff member, you should really ask yourself, do they need to know this information? If they don't need to know the information, you don't need to share it, because you can put yourself in a bind when doing that. Ask yourself, am I sharing this information to better serve the child? If you think you are, then maybe that information does need to be divulged to somebody else. If you're not, keep that information to yourself so we don't have any data privacy issues down the road. And finally, ask yourself this: if I was sharing that information and was investigated for sharing, can I defend myself for sharing that information? We do have a lot of data that goes around within our school systems, no matter which building you may be in. And so your role as a volunteer is to help that student, but keep all that data close to the cuff and not share it at all. One final note about being a volunteer and working with students: you are a professional delegate. You are now a mandated reporter. And what that means is, if you believe or you suspect that one of the students you're working with has been neglected physically, has been sexually abused within the last 3 years, you must report it. You're mandated to report it. And what we suggest is that you let an administrator know right away so they can point you to the best resource that you make that complaint to. If you hear of something directly from the student or about a student, you have 24 hours within to make that complaint or that mandated report. And then after you make the verbal report, you then have 72 hours to make a written report and then allow Wright County to perform that investigation. But once again, if you feel that a student has been sexually abused or physically neglected within the past 3 years, you are mandated to report it. And that's an important task, sometimes daunting, but very important to keep our students and staff safe, and you as a volunteer safe as well. Once again, I want to thank you for giving your time as a volunteer at Delano Public Schools, District 879, whether it is in the elementary school, middle school, or high school, even over at our community ed building. We really appreciate it and couldn't do a lot of the things we do without your help. Again, my name is Joe Haas, the Assistant Principal at Delano Middle School and the District Human Rights / Harassment Officer. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Joy Bolea, and I'm a registered nurse, and I work in the middle school here at Delano Public Schools, and I've been asked to talk to you today about bloodborne pathogens and what you should do when you're volunteering. Kind of the basic bottom line for blood and vomit is you don't touch it and you stay away from it, and you let custodians handle that. If you do have a child that has a bloody nose or is getting sick, we've got in each room, we've got packets that have Band-Aids and gauze and kinds of things, so you can instruct them to hold their nose. If you do come in contact with it, please, come wash. If you need assistance, I carry a radio, and so it can be gotten a hold of at any time. The adult, supervisor that you're with, the teacher or administrator that's around can also help you with that. Another thing that you may have heard in this training video already is if you do encounter bloody noses and vomit and those kinds of things, that is just kind of something that stays here at school. It's not for public consumption. You don't need to, tell your friend at the grocery store that you saw a kid with the largest, bloodiest nose you've ever seen. So we kind of want to keep those details to ourselves. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always come in and ask me or one of the other nurses. And I want to take this opportunity too to thank you for volunteering. I use volunteers in hearing and vision screening, and I'm often with them on field trips, and you play a really good and vital part in our schools. Thanks again.
Hi, I'm Deputy Grant Eldred with the Wright County Sheriff's Office, and I'm also the School Resource Officer for Delano Schools. I will talk to you about a few legal aspects of volunteering for Delano Public Schools in order for your volunteering experience to be a positive one. When you're volunteering, students will see you as a representative for the school district. In this manner, you are personally responsible for working in and around the classroom and other locations with the students. You will be responsible for any intentional misconduct or willful neglect or any conduct outside of the scope or course of your duties as a volunteer. Considering this, the school district may not have to defend you or pay for any damages if that was the case. But as long as you're working within the scope of your duties as a volunteer, the district will support you. I'm sure your volunteer experience will be a great one. The district highly appreciates your time and energy as a volunteer. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great time volunteering.
Thank you so much for volunteering at our schools. Our students and staff truly appreciate it.
If you have any questions or concerns, please contact us at our office, either through email or at 972-3365, extension 2333.